Whoa.
Now hear this. See how Andy Akiho found his sound on Great Performances.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Tonight on Newswatch, Ohio State troopers are investigating a head-on crash in Gallia County.
Plus, 2 cheerleaders were shot after getting into the wrong vehicle.
And police arrest 2 suspects in the deadly shooting at a Sweet 16 party in Alabama. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Brenna Nye.
And I'm Joe Collins. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. And we're going to be joined here by forecaster Jacob Van Cleef. Now, Jake, weather can't really seem to make up its mind.
No, it's been sunny. I mean, did you guys get to enjoy it today? I know
Absolutely.
I did.
I had my balcony door open, let the breeze come in, doing homework.
Yeah, it seems like the pattern that's been going on is that we have some rain, and then after some rain, more sunshine. Now, did you guys, have any issues with the rain? I know there's a lot of people that are having issues with traffic. There's been a lot of flooding actually in some regions, especially here in southeastern Ohio. Now, other than that though, if you've noticed the nice weather, it's not always sunshine when it comes to the good temperatures, because actually we are in a high risk for some fire danger today. Now, if we actually do look at a live look on our Athens campus today, you'll notice it is clear, and it also has a slight breeze. Now, like I mentioned, that's not always a good thing, and I'll get to that later in our show here. Now, you notice clear temperatures, or clear skies, high temperatures currently sitting at 79. We're actually a little bit warmer than that today, but you'll notice our dew point's really low, and so is that humidity, and then, like I said, those winds. It's not giving it right now calm, but we were a little bit higher today. Now, across the region, not just here in southeastern Ohio, but everywhere else in Ohio, even in parts of West Virginia, you'll notice those temperatures were quite warm. And then you'll see this is because we had this cloud cover in our region. Moving into tonight, like I said, that red flag warning is in effect. It's going to be moving on until 8 p.m. when it's supposed to leave. I'll talk about that later, but you'll notice tonight your temperatures are going to be dropping down to 49 degrees because of those clear skies. I'll break down why this is happening and what you'll see coming up in the future later in today's show. Brenna?
Thank you, Jake. A car driver traveled left of center, striking a semi-tractor trailer headed on Gallia County this morning. Troopers arrived at the scene at State Route 7 north of Gallipolis after the semi traveled off the left side of the roadway, striking an occupied home. One of the residents sustained minor injuries and no one else in the home was injured. The semi driver was not injured, but the car driver sustained serious injuries and was taken by med flight to Cabell Huntington Hospital. Charges are pending on the driver and the crash is under investigation. A jury has found a former Columbus police officer not guilty of murder and voluntary manslaughter charges. The charges stem from the death of a woman shot and killed while the officer was undercover. That officer, Andrew Mitchell, argued his actions were self-defense. Mitchell still faces multiple federal charges for allegedly forcing women to perform sexual acts in exchange for their freedom and for lying to federal investigators.
Demonstrators are sweeping the streets of Akron, Ohio. This is in response to a grand jury declining to indict 8 police officers who shot and killed Jalen Walker last summer. And as Reed Binion reports, Walker's family is now planning legal action against the city.
Demanding justice for Jalen Walker one day after a special grand jury declined to indict the 8 Akron police officers who shot and killed Walker.
The grand jury concluded that the officers were legally justified in their use of force.
The 25-year-old was fatally shot last June after a traffic stop followed by a police chase, and after Walker fired at police first, according to the Attorney General. The investigation found the officers fired a total of 94 rounds in 6.7 seconds. His family says they're disappointed the officers won't face criminal charges. Their attorney says he plans to file a civil suit against the city in June, ahead of the anniversary of Walker's death.
The family of Jalen Walker's hearts have been destroyed. His body has been destroyed. And our faith in this community, its leadership has been destroyed.
Some people taking to the streets to protest the grand jury's finding. As the city sets up a 7-day demonstration zone in downtown Akron outside City Hall and in front of the police department for, quote, peaceful civil demonstrations.
We were told that we were going to get an explanation for every bullet that came out. Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
On Tuesday, Akron Public Schools shut down as city officials braced for more potential protests. Meanwhile, the Akron Police Department says it has started its own internal investigation to look into whether department training and policies were followed. The 8 officers involved have not been identified and remain on the force. They were initially placed on administrative leave and were reinstated in October due to staffing issues. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
As I mentioned, the 8 officers involved have not been identified and remain on the force. Coming up on Newswatch, 2 cheerleaders shot in Texas. Plus, the Biden administration faces a lawsuit from an abortion pill company. That and more after the break.
One of nature's greatest displays of might is the most iconic waterfall in the world. It's a force that shaped the region and created a natural realm unlike any other.
As you travel upriver, the modern world seems to fall away. It feels like a trip back in time.
Discover the many wonders of Niagara Falls.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
Anytime one of these elders are around you, you better go run and sit at their feet.
With Christian, to think like who his mentors were, that can go back all the way to when the music started. That hits.
And then she just turns to me and she says, "You got it." And then the whole band walks off the stage.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
The Chelsea movement had a life of its own.
The struggle for Chelsea's freedom is also a struggle of an entire people.
After all these years, I finally had the chance to say I'm innocent.
I was not an angel on my side. At the same time, I was not the devil.
Free Chol Soo Lee, Monday, April 24th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
In Texas, 3 shootings have occurred in recent days. Most recently, 2 cheerleaders were shot after one accidentally got into the wrong car after practice. Laura Aguirre has more.
I'm Peyton Washington on Woodlands Elite Generals.
Peyton Washington, one of 2 Texas cheerleaders shot after a wrong car mix-up Tuesday. Arrested and charged is this man, 25-year-old Pedro Rodriguez Jr. Police say Rodriguez allegedly fired at the girls after Washington's teammate accidentally got into his vehicle at a carpool drop-off, thinking it was her own. That teammate, Heather Roth, was slightly wounded. Washington was critically injured and airlifted to a hospital.
I was trying to apologize to him, and then I just, halfway my window was down, he just threw his hands up, and then he pulled out a gun, and then he just started shooting at all of us.
The managing director of the girls' cheer team says that Washington is a fighter, rising to the top of her sport despite being born with one lung.
She's a mentor and a role model to so many kids in this industry. She's an amazing athlete, amazing kid.
In Kansas City, 84-year-old Andrew Lester pleaded not guilty to felony charges Wednesday afternoon, accused of shooting 16-year-old Ralph Yarl last week when the teen came to Lester's home by mistake. A probable cause statement reveals Lester told police he was scared to death of Yarl when he fired his gun.
This should be a federal hate crime, at least investigation. I believe that it merits federal hate crime charges and a conviction.
Yarl is recovering from gunshots in the head and arm. Attorney Lee Merritt sharing this picture on Instagram Wednesday, referring to Yarl as a walking miracle. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
There is no public statement from Andrew Lester's legal representation at this time. The family of Tyree Nichols sues the city of Memphis, its police department, involved officers, and others for his death in January. The over $500 million lawsuit filed Wednesday claims wrongful death. It says the officers were, quote, unqualified, untrained, and unsupervised. Nichols' mother is listed as the plaintiff. A body camera video from the incident shows 5 police officers kicking and punching Nichols during a traffic stop. The reasons Nichols was stopped in his car have not been substantiated. 29-year-old Nichols died in the hospital 3 days after the incident. The officers are facing criminal charges and their unit is disbanded. The Justice Department is investigating the Memphis Police Department and reviewing specialized law enforcement units in the U.S. 2 suspects are arrested after 4 people died and dozens were injured at a birthday party in Dadeville, Alabama. Cole Higgins has more on the arrests.
Police have arrested 2 teenagers in connection with a mass shooting at a Sweet 16 party in Dadeville, Alabama last weekend.
Officially arrested and charged Tyreek McCullough, 17 of Tuskegee, and Travis McCullough, 16, also of Tuskegee, with 4 counts of reckless murder each.
The suspects were arrested Tuesday evening, several long days after 4 people were killed and 32 others injured at the celebration, including 15 teens who suffered gunshot wounds. Among those killed was the birthday girl's older brother, who was a gifted college-bound athlete. District Attorney Mike Segrist says the 4 murder charges are just the tip of the iceberg, and more charges are pending.
Even though these are 16 and 17-year-olds, we will be charging them as adults in this.
A motive has not been released, and law enforcement is still asking people who know anything to come forward.
Somebody's got to start thinking about mom. We're tired of going to the mothers and having to tell them that these kids are not coming home.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
Good afternoon, Southeastern Ohio Newswatch forecaster Jacob Van Cleve. And if you'll see across the region, like I said, it's been clear and it's also been warm. Now, it seems like the last several days, it's been a couple days of sunshine, some wind, some breeze, and then we have a storm that comes through, and then we have more sunshine. So if you see over the last 12 hours, we've been relatively clear, but we've had a little bit of cloud cover make its way on through. Big thing to talk about that's going to be coming through in the next couple days here is all this cloud cover here. There's actually a low pressure system that's developing out to the west there, and it's making its way on east. Now, how have we seen our weather change over the last 24 hours, and why have we seen those constant blasts of rain and then sunshine again? Well, you'll notice right here, over the last 24 hours, we've been dominated by this high pressure system, while there's been a low that's been churning up towards the north, dropping actually a significant number of inches of snow up towards, Nebraska, or not, a little bit north of Nebraska, but you have South Dakota and North Dakota, even Minneapolis there in Minnesota getting quite a bit of snow. Now, we've been in this station, or just north of this stationary boundary line that's been slowly propagating its way eastward, and you'll see that's where that low is starting to deepen there. So now over the next 24 hours, you'll see this low pressure system move a little bit more northward, and then this will turn into, you can kind of see at the end of the loop here, right there, that warm front will then start to advect northward, and we'll actually see that impact here in southeastern Ohio. Before we get there, though, you'll notice today's temperatures were relatively warm. Right now, my monitor's saying 76 degrees, but even in some parts of Athens, you've been up towards the 80-degree mark. Now, we have been clear throughout the entirety of today, and that'll also continue moving into tomorrow. The reason that is that you see these lower temperatures for the overnight lows, and we've had that frost advisory actually yesterday, is because as easy it is for us to warm with clear skies, it's just as easy for us to cool overnight. So that's why we'll see those temperatures go down to 49 degrees. Now, it won't be as cool as what we see yesterday, but definitely still chilly. Now, a big thing to talk about is this red flag warning that's in our entire region, and the pink, the lighter pink there, that special weather statement is tied to it, but not directly related. If you ever wonder how meteorologists decide whether to issue this red flag warning, there's multiple factors. That'll be relative humidity, that's associated with your dew point. You have those warmer temperatures, and you have slight winds. Now, here in southeastern Ohio, we have all those conditions to make this bad. Another thing to talk about is fuel moistures, and this is a map here that we kind of use to display the type of fuel moistures and how likely it is to ignite if those conditions are possible. And you'll see right here in southeastern Ohio, we're in this very high to just a little high region. We're nowhere near extreme, but this is what's warned right here why we have that red flag issued in our region, and then some parts towards the sides of like western Ohio or even West Virginia having that special weather statement because of those conditions. Now, this red flag warning is expected to kind of end around 8 o'clock tonight, and it's because those winds have calmed, and without those winds and all those conditions to make that warning possible, then they'll go away, and we'll see actually as temperatures and winds move on through that things change. Now, like I mentioned, temperatures tonight are going to be dropping down to 49 degrees because of those mostly clear skies, but then we'll have a rise in temperatures up towards 85 degrees with those warm temperatures. That's because now that warm front that I mentioned is now propagating northward. We'll see it moving into our region and warming us up. Now, we will still have a little bit of cloud cover moving into tomorrow, and you'll see that'll actually affect those overnight lows tomorrow. Now, I wanted to kind of play around with our local radar and kind of show you what's going on and why it's playing out the way it is. I'm going to turn on here. This is our dew point, and what you'll see with our dew point, these temperatures in the region around Athens, 41, but then this whole region here where it's green is what we have is moisture being affected northward, and that's what's deepening and making this low. Now, there is severe warning risk. There appear they had a couple tornado warnings, but this whole region here has a lot of fuel, and it'll eventually be making its way towards southeastern Ohio, and so let's see how this plays itself out. That low is deepening. We have that cold front. Now, eventually, that warm front moves on through tomorrow. That's why we see those warmer temperatures. Now, high pressure is still going to dominate in the region, so we'll still be relatively cool. That cold front is coming closer and closer, and eventually, you'll see a lot of rain is going to be associated with that cold front, and you'll see as it makes its way through Friday, we'll have warm temperatures Friday, and then cold front comes through, 30% chance of showers, low of 52 as that cold front comes through, and we have a nice cooling with a lot of rain associated with that. Now, as that system passes through, you'll see cooler temperatures, but then we'll have a nice gradual warming towards the next week. Brenna?
Thanks for the great work, Jake. A generic abortion pill maker is suing the Biden administration. GenBioPro claims the Food and Drug Administration violated the Constitution's Due Process Clause and other laws and how the agency responded to court orders halting the approval of the drug's generic form, Fidersprostone. GenBioPro is seeking a court order for the FDA to follow procedural steps under federal law before declaring mifepristone unapproved. The company is also asking the court to stop the federal government from taking enforcement actions against them before the FDA follows statutory process of withdrawing or suspending the drug. Lawsuit sets up a third legal battle for access to abortion pills. More battles follow the Supreme Court's decision overturning the federal right to an abortion. The nation's future doctors have questions. New data says the restrictions have an impact on where and what future doctors plan to practice. The Association of American Medical Colleges analyzes that the number of medical school students' applications to residency training programs decreased last year. States with abortion bans had application numbers drop the most. Interest in OB/GYN specialty decreased with applications dropping 5% nationwide and twice as much in abortion-banned states. Experts say it will be important to track medical school students' preferences in the future. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for a Texas death row inmate to try to use DNA evidence to prove his innocence. The case revolves around Rodney Reed, who was convicted of killing 19-year-old Stacy Stites in 1998. Reed hopes to use a belt found near the crime scene for DNA evidence, which he claims would point towards someone else as the culprit. However, the state denied his request. Now he is challenging the constitutionality of Texas law, arguing that it violates his rights to a due process. An appeal court ruled that he waited too long to bring the claim. However, the Supreme Court has disagreed with the ruling. Now, Reed can go to a federal court to make his claim. According to the Innocence Project, more than 375 people have been exonerated by DNA testing, 21 of which were on death row. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek spoke to Congress Wednesday for the first time about the stalled Open Markets Act. According to Spotify, Ek is meeting with lawmakers and members of the Biden administration to urge the bill's passing. Ek says the bill, which is targeting Apple and Google, would promote competition that benefits both developers and customers. Apple opposes the Open Markets Act, arguing the bill would undermine private security. Google says its Android system already supports multiple app stores. One of the bill's features says that it would allow users to install apps from any marketplace, not just those in their stores. Coming up, airlines may be struggling with staffing in the future. That story's still ahead. And to stay up to date on the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
The Chelsea movement had a life of its own.
The struggle for Chelsea's freedom is also a struggle of an entire people.
After all these years, I finally had the chance to say I'm innocent.
I was not an angel on her side. At the same time, I was not the devil.
Free Chol Soo Lee, Monday, April 24th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Anytime one of these elders are around you, you better go run and sit at their feet.
With Christian, to think like who his mentors were, that can go back all the way to when the music started. That hits.
And then she just turns to me and she says, "You got it." And then the whole band walks off the stage.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
One of nature's greatest displays of might is the most iconic waterfall in the world. It's a force that shaped the region and created a natural realm unlike any other.
As you travel upriver, the modern world seems to fall away. It feels like a trip back in time.
Discover the many wonders of Niagara Falls.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
Numerous airline pilots are getting ready to retire, which will have an even more damaging impact on an already declining pilot shortage. Mike Valerio explains what this means for travelers and what can be done to address the issue.
Bumpy skies ahead for America's airlines.
We're going off a cliff.
Testifying before a congressional subcommittee, airline industry leaders warn the ongoing pilot shortage will get worse in the years to come.
Within 15 years, nearly half of all pilots will retire.
The problem, an aging workforce is on the way out, and expensive training is keeping many recruits from getting in. The Regional Airline Association is calling on Congress to raise the mandatory retirement age from 65 to 67.
No data shows a pilot is unsafe at 65, but this arbitrary line forces qualified pilots to retire when they have much to offer.
Most airlines have yet to fully restore the service cuts they made during the pandemic, even in the face of record bookings at some carriers. That combination is driving airfares up over the last year, increasing by more than 17% according to the latest federal inflation data. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
NFL star Damar Hamlin has been taking part in voluntary off-season workouts this week at the Buffalo Bills facility in New York. Nearly 4 months after suffering cardiac arrest during a game in January, Hamlin has been cleared to play football again. The safety was hit with a helmet in his chest while making a tackle and collapsed on the field. Health experts say the cardiac arrest was caused by commotio cordis, a rare occurrence which happens when severe trauma disrupts the heart's electrical charge and causes dangerous fibrillations. Experts say that because Hamlin's heart has no underlying issues, it's unlikely that he'll have this or other problems again, which is why he was cleared to play. Next on Newswatch, a sloth photobombs a South American rocket launch. Stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
One of nature's greatest displays of might is the most iconic waterfall in the world. It's a force that shaped the region and created a natural realm unlike any other.
As you travel upriver, the modern world seems to fall away. It feels like a trip back in time.
Discover the many wonders of Niagara Falls.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
The Chelsea movement had a life of its own.
The struggle for Chelsea's freedom is also a struggle of an entire people.
After all these years, I finally had the chance to say I'm innocent.
I was not an angel on her side. At the same time, I was not the devil.
Free Chol Soo Lee, Monday, April 24th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
Once upon a time in merry England, there lived a boy called Tom.
We've got time, but maybe Christian doesn't.
More resilience in the natural world must be the key.
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport on the PBS app.
Anytime one of these elders are around you, you better go run and sit at their feet.
With Christian, to think like who his mentors were, that can go back all the way to when the music started. That hits.
And then she just turns to me and she says, "You got it." And then the whole band walks off the stage.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back. A sloth steals the show after it was caught on screen for just a few seconds during a South American rocket launch. The European Space Agency was sending a rocket on a mission to Jupiter when they caught the sloth on camera as a part of a highlight reel that played before the launch. Even though the sloth was only seen for a small amount of time, it was a big hit to the people of social media who talked about it more than the launch itself. The European Space Agency even said the sloth was the star of the show. Now, Brenna, sloth's the slowest moving land animal. I can only imagine how long it took for him to get to that spot.
Even to get in, like to get in and get out, I don't know how long it would take him, but I feel like that would be the star of the show for me. I mean, I like rocket launching, but if there was a sloth, I'd just like stare at it, want to like cuddle with it. Maybe it looks so cute.
Absolutely. That has to be the most famous sloth right now in their community.
They slowed it down to a little bit. Oh, it probably is the most famous sloth. That's crazy. All right, we're going to toss it back over to Jake for our final weather.
You know, one thing you guys didn't mention was that that's probably the best view of that rocket launch as well. Well, we're going to move back here to Ohio. You'll notice we have that red flag warning still continuing here for southeast Ohio until 8 o'clock because of those conditions that I talked about before that make it favorable. Now, overnight low, 49 degrees. It's going to be cold. It's going to be chilly, and that's because we do not have that cloud cover in our region. But as that warm front does move through, we'll have those increase in temperatures rising up to 55 degrees overnight tonight with your overnight low sitting down at 56. And that cloud cover that will eventually move on through overnight is going to keep us a little bit warmer. That's why we see those temperatures being warmer. Now, again, one more time, we're going to break down how this storm's going to come through. That warm front pushes through Monday or tomorrow, so we see that warming. We still have that high pressure off the coast that is going to keep some cloud cover away from us. It's going to move in closer tomorrow night, and you'll see that cold front gets closer, and then we move into Friday, and we'll see that cold front comes closer, and we have quite a bit of rain that's going to be following behind that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now that cold front finally pushes through, drop temperatures down to 31 degrees overnight on Sunday, but then you'll see that we have a nice incline in temperatures. Nothing crazy, but brings us back into the spring, sometimes even feels like fall temperatures here in southeastern Ohio. Now, like I mentioned, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have those cooler temperatures, but we are expecting maybe another storm system to follow through after Wednesday. But I mean, before we get there, I mean, the weather that we've just had here in southeastern Ohio, it just seems like it's always been that constant sunshine, clear skies, and then all of a sudden another storm system. And that's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to weather, especially in Ohio, but all of the Midwest in the springtime. Now, I will like to mention that every single one of these days, you'll notice those warm temperatures dropping again to cooler temperatures. Like I mentioned, it's usually because that cloud cover that sits in the region, it traps that heat overnight. But then during the day, like you'll see Thursday in the morning, you'll see that the cloud cover is not there. We'll have great daytime warming, and you'll have temperatures where it's 85. If anything, I'd like to call that sizzling on Thursday. But then as we move through the rain, and then again, clear and cooler temperatures.
Absolutely. It just seems like every week there's a whole high and low, 80 degrees on 2 days from now and then 60 in 2. It's
like a new season every day.
It really is.
We just get all 4 seasons in 1 week at this point.
Well, it's like Midwest weather, but, you know, Ohio.
Yeah, exactly.
It's its own weather
if
here.
If you want all
special.
4 seasons, just come to Ohio.
Absolutely. And that's going to do it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Collins.
And I'm Brenna Nye. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.